the speakers when they speak. It's a high-profile piece. So when you got this young black who has basically nothing going for him sitting out in an audience, what does he see? He sees mounds and mounds of black men standing around looking good.
In fact, they're wearing certain
dressed,
nice
yes,
outfits and,
and
clothing.
And with that profile, it really invokes an idea of being a part of something that's going somewhere. Right. And so, and Malcolm X was the spokesman, and he was so bold in what he said to America that it really put the Nation of Islam on the map. Because even though Elijah Muhammad was very influential, he did not have the boldness of Malcolm X. Would stand outside of a Baptist church and challenge people as they were leaving the church, you know, and that's how bold this brother was. And with that, he gained a following that basically would have, I think that Malcolm could have basically, had it not been for his devotion to Elijah Muhammad, basically took that thing and actually made an awesome movement of black supremacy with it, had he not been so devoted.
Right, because he's following those Nation of Islam teachings to the letter back then.
Yes.
And really believing in it.
He really loved Elijah Muhammad.
And with that, let me, for the moment, let our viewers at home, of course I've been looking at a picture of him here as we've been speaking, but let's let the viewers hear Malcolm X back during those days when he was really devoted, and let them hear for themselves Malcolm X speaking on, I guess, the state of the white man.
All right.
God is gonna bring chastisement upon the American white man for tricking the so-called Negroes here in this country. God is after him. God is the one who brings his airplane crashing out of the sky full of white folks. God is the one that makes his cars crack up on the highway. God is the one that's giving polio to his little children and making his senators die with heart attacks. That's the work of God. So the blessing from God. That's a wicked race. And God is making his children be born today, deformed, demented, or dead. That's from God. God is after the white man. It isn't communists that's after the white man. God is after the white man. God doesn't love ugly, and there's nothing on this earth uglier than that blue-eyed, stringy-haired, bad-smelling race of devils.
Well, that was pretty graphic, I'd say. I don't know, Wilford. I get the impression that Malcolm X didn't take too kindly to white men.
No, but you know, see, not being delivered by Christ, and then having your mom and dad basically psychologically, well, your dad killed your mom in a insane asylum, and you having all of this and not the forgiveness of Christ, then you think that you have come in contact with a religious organization that will both allow you to express your feelings, and you have all of this built up in your psychic. You will speak that bold, and you'll have all of that hatred. And I think it's sometimes it's unconscious how much hatred they actually have, you know, versus how much versus the reason that they say they speak the way they do. And that's what you just heard. You heard all of this pain and stuff coming out of this man. But without the righteousness of Christ, what do you have? Nothing but hatred and pain.
That's right. And, okay, so here we have Malcolm X. He's, you know, son of a Baptist preacher, so he's really got that ability to communicate also.
Yeah.
Probably picked it up from his dad. And, with a cause to run with it.
Yeah.
And we go along in the chronology, and I guess I'll read a little bit more here. We find that in 1962, Elijah Muhammad appoints Malcolm X National Minister of the Nation.
Yeah.
Buys winter home in Phoenix. And but in 1963, a rift takes place. And then in 1964, Elijah Muhammad brands Malcolm X as a traitor. Can you elaborate a little on that?
Well, you know, during that time is when President Kennedy got killed.
Okay.
And Malcolm X made a real terrible statement about chickens coming home to roost, about the death of President Kennedy. Now that really, for some reason, got under the skin of Elijah Muhammad, and he decided that Malcolm may need to take a back seat, because as the national spokesman, I don't, you know, Malcolm kind of, I don't know if the audience are familiar with this Mr. Khalid Muhammad, who the kind of bald head guy right now.
In fact, I've got a quote I'll be giving of him.
Well, he's basically in the same vein as Malcolm, with as much power and with much forcefulness when he speaks, you see.
Right.
And Malcolm had that going. And it's interesting to note, too, historically, that a lot of the brothers within the nation didn't like the way Malcolm was moving up as fast. And you speaking of brotherly love. But you know that, see, and without Christ, you're going to always have envy and strife in the flesh, and so they could not operate in the spirit because the Spirit of God is not there. Therefore, Malcolm now is the target of the brothers that's supposedly along with him, and then you have Elijah Muhammad not really approving of what he said about President Kennedy. Not to mention, Malcolm is about to discover that Elijah Muhammad is somewhat immoral. And with that, his whole world is about to crumble, because the Nation of Islam is not exactly what he thought it was, and it's not.
In fact, just out of curiosity, I want the folks at home to take a look at these couple of pictures here that are on the screen right now. You have a picture here first of Elijah Muhammad with Martin Luther King. Okay, and then the next picture is Malcolm X with Martin Luther King. Now, before the rift and everything, how did Martin Luther King play in with the Nation of Islam? I mean, what was the relationship there?
Well, I'm not really certain, but you have to remember all of this is taking place within the civil rights movement.
Okay.
All right, you have to remember that now we have 2 or 3 different voices about what is supposed to happen to America as it relates to Black America. Okay, so now you have the nonviolent approach of Martin Luther King, and you have the by any means necessary approach by Malcolm X, who is now the spokesman of the Nation of Islam. And while there are different liberal theologians who actually say what was happening, for instance, some groups say that they agreed. I've even heard one liberal professor say that the Nation of Islam protected Martin Luther King. You know, and I haven't seen any bow-tied brothers around Martin Luther King, but anyway, that's what he says. But then on the other hand, there is maybe the discussion of trying to unify in some fashion to bring blacks together by these leaders, to which I don't believe Martin Luther King really wanted the violence, because his message was totally different from that of you know, fighting to get what you wanted. Was a nonviolent approach. Many scholars will tell you that he has studied Gandhi.
If you like our YouTube channel, please subscribe by clicking on the subscribe button, and then by also clicking the bell above to get an automatic update whenever we produce another YouTube video for our See Answers TV channel. Please share our videos with your friends and relatives. May God bless you. Only one life will soon be passed. Only what is done for Christ will last. To see the full-length video, please select by tapping on the first screen to the right. To see the entire playlist where this particular video is found, select by tapping on a touchscreen on a cell phone or by clicking on a regular computer. The second screen to the right.